Hello, my name is Brad Hausler, and this is my presentation for my e-learning environment. And I just want to walk you through what I've been able to create over this past semester in digital media and literacy. Before I dive in and really show you guys the actual space itself, I just want to break down some overarching components. So we needed to create a needs analysis, and for my needs analysis, I wanted students to really learn technological skills and have them at their disposal, especially as they move forward, where I teach a lot of seniors in this economics course. As technology evolves, new requisites for the workplace are developing rapidly, and I want them to be able to use those and learn how to adapt and see trends in new technology. I wanted to capitalize on the digital tools and technologies available at our school, seeing that we have pretty decent Wi-Fi and we have one-to-one devices, and the plethora of social media that have been developed in recent years and how they've been advancing businesses. I also want students to work individually in pairs or trios, basically whatever they're most comfortable with. So that way their product is as authentic and original as possible. Because some of us have great ideas by ourselves, some of us work good in small groups, and some of us work exceptionally well in trios because we are good at one area or strong in one area and not so much in another. We need partners. Um, and throughout the entire project, they'll be building websites, they'll be making commercials, and maybe even podcasts supporting their projects. And they'll be also running social media campaigns on whatever platform that they choose. Only one, but we'll get into that in a minute. The entire thing is a very, very, very large performance assessment that roughly takes 3, possibly even 4 weeks. I use this as my microeconomics performance assessment in my economics course. And I think it really allows everybody to fully demonstrate their skill because you can't just memorize to test and then forget. This is making sure you've been paying attention all along. It forces you to learn along the way as well. And I think it also provides you an opportunity to prepare for the modern working world. It capitalizes on cooperative brainstorming. There's the concept of tuning that I'll show you guys, drafting project proposals, marketing campaigns, and also presenting in a final presentation where they're going to have people that they're not used to speaking in front of, like other teachers. They're going to be working on their interpersonal professional skills, time management, discipline, organization, and accountability, which I think is important, right? Having other people count on you, especially in an intellectual or business setting. And they're also going to be working on pivotal conversations. And, you know, I think this gets tricky with high school students where they often work with their friends. How can you have a serious conversation with somebody you see often and on a daily basis when you're both trying to hit a goal and a very important goal as well? So working on those pivotal conversational skills. Now, there certainly are challenges in teaching this content. Students will possibly fail to understand the seriousness of stealing intellectual property or understanding the rules and procedures, and also for certain portrayals in media campaigns. Um, you have to be careful with what they put in commercials, what they say, right? Especially if they're a corporation with some air quotes around that, 'cause they're not real. And then there's going to be difficulties for the teacher in assessing because there's so many check-ins and it's such a large project with so much stuff developed that you need to space it out and create check-ins and discipline for yourself as the teacher, that you can't just push it off to the end because the projects might be a disaster, or you're just giving yourself like a month worth of grading, and you need to be able to have a quick turnaround for your assessment. Oops, sorry. Um, Another issue or challenge is equity in terms of outside time from school for each student. Um, each student holds different responsibilities, and if this is taking place during COVID, that presented a new difficulty with trying to finish this up. And I'm envisioning it for this next year if we're not in school, or students won't be able to work together necessarily on the same computer. So things could get very challenging in terms of what can be done at home. So we need, establishing some ground rules and expectations as a class needs to happen. And then lastly is for most, I mean, I guess this is for the students and the teacher, is the varying levels in ability, because you are going to have 10th grade college prep level and 12th grade AP students. That is a drastically different readiness level. One is about to go embark possibly on a full ride to Harvard, and the other hasn't even got their license yet. And so maturity, abstract reasoning skills, responsibility, accountability, those are things that have to be managed, and it can get difficult when you have such a wide spread in one classroom. Um, for a pedagogical framework that helped me conceptualize what I was trying to do, I really relied on participatory media literacy, and that was advocated and proposed by Professor Henry Jenkins of the University of Southern California. And every time he's always emphasizing on play and creation and self discovery, and he also really hits notes on equity empowerment of the learner. Um, uh, in this framework, I also rely on mental constructivism, which occurs when students fit new ideas and learned knowledge and content into the things that they're doing in the moment. So taking what they've just learned and then actually creating something with it. And then the social constructivist piece, allowing that knowledge to be shaped and constructed through interaction with peers, and then constant and active reflection by working together, building off of one another, whether it be in a conversation or in group collaborative settings, and constantly self-reflecting. So I really want students to go through these two processes as they are going through my unit. I've also linked to the e-learning environment, and then before we get into it, these are my sources. These are just some of the sources that I use in my actual unit, but that I helped me in terms of shaping and thinking about my e-learning environment. Now, normally I always have a Google Classroom running in my econ class anyways, as you guys can tell, and I'll bring it up. So I wanted to explore something different, especially in COVID where things can get a little shaky. And I don't think that Google Classroom is the right platform for this unit. If, I'm sick and I'm out and I have somebody taking over, or, students are out and they still want to engage with it. So what I did is I took my entire unit and broke it down into a web page, and chunk it up that way so students can see how it's supposed to be taught, how it's supposed to go, and the reasoning and everything. So that way, if they're on their own and they're not in school, or if I'm sick and I'm out, they know what's going on. And I just think this is a little bit better than using the traditional Google Classroom route. Um, and basically, what I did is I just chunked up my initial unit plan through some images and extra resources. So, and then broke it down into separate web pages. Um, it might not be, the most engaging in terms of, flashy imagery and hyperlinks, but I think that in a COVID-19 e-learning environment, I guess situation, this can provide some clarity for students in terms of what's supposed to be happening, what's the goal, where we're supposed to be. If they're not in my live stream, if they're in one cohort and the other one's in class, if somebody's sick, I'm out for an extended period of time. I just think this provides a lot of clarity. And so I broke down each one, and I also incorporated some of the resource videos for the creation processes for, if somebody needed to take over my class, or if students were by themselves and needed extra time. If I had them on Tuesday and then Wednesday when they're not in my physical classroom, they still have questions. They still have the resources available, and there will also be supports on a Google Classroom page that I usually run anyways. And so I broke down each and every single um, part of my unit plan into this way, including the rubrics and the commercials that we might use, and tutorial pages. And then the number one thing that I think could be of use, and I think something that all people should use, is Google Forms. Now, in this case, I'm using it for questions and concerns throughout the project where they can submit all the time. I'll come over to it here where it says your answers are confidential with your teacher only. Leave your first name and your last initial, the time and the date. And just casually, what's going on? Are there any issues in the research process? Are you confused or disheartened? Is there group tension? Vent it out. And I just want them to be able to post here all the time. Now, students can't see other students' stuff, but I can see it. And I can open access to another teacher as well, which is always nice. It's a nice place to document things. And although we're doing reflections constantly of that email, this is just another way to capture some data and any potential issues. Um, that's about it. Anyways, thank you very much, everybody, for a wonderful semester, and I hope that everything goes well in the upcoming school year. Thank you.